Hey guys, what's going on? Blaine back for another Netflix review, and today I'm going to be talking about The Champion. The Champion is a Spanish sports drama that tells the story of Diego, a hot-headed football player who has trouble controlling his temper both on and off the field. After his team loses a game, his attitude flares out to a point where he hurts a fellow teammate. He's forcibly suspended for 2 games, during which he has to attend classes taught by an academic named Alex. The idea of the classes is for him to improve his etiquette and reading ability before a final game comes at the end of a tournament. While the two don't get along at first, their differences end up bringing them together, and one helps the other in overcoming their fears as a result. This is about as basic of a redemption story as it can possibly get, and it doesn't start out that way. The overdramatic conflict and cliché characters almost derail it from the beginning, but the relationship of the 2 lead characters inspires more confidence in the story over time, even if it doesn't fully recover. There isn't much to say about the main character Diego, at least for the first half of the movie. He's a typical cocky, extroverted athlete who has to change his ways so that he can better himself and his team. His actor portrays the role competently enough, but he's written in such generic fashion that it was hard to become attached to him. Later on in the movie, he is redeemed a bit more once the extent of his learning disability is explored, although I felt it wasn't examined in as much detail as it could have been. He is a bit more sympathetic because of it, but it rarely factors into the story in any meaningful way. And I found myself continually bothered by the fact that he doesn't have a last name, so this made it hard to appreciate his redemption arc, because he's just that ordinary. The other main character, Alex Castro, is just as bland as Diego is, except instead of being overly energetic, he's much more reserved, to the point that he has a hard time dealing with crowds of people. I found this odd considering he teaches in a room packed full of university students, and once again he comes off as uninspired. To be fair, his character arc is there, and he does undergo changes throughout the story in terms of gaining more confidence, socializing with others, and coming out of his shell. It's just that by himself, there's not much more other than that, and the reason for his anxiety is never explained in any kind of detail. Because of how dull and opposite these characters were, I was ready to write this movie off. However, something special happens with these two, and that they play off each other so well. Their dynamic and chemistry took me by surprise, and it ended up being this movie's biggest saving grace. Now, there are still issues with the bond they develop with each other. It takes a long time for them to come out of their shells, and they're still written quite predictably, but the fact that they're such polar opposites and are still able to make the relationship so believable in the way it's presented is impressive, and a testament to the talent of the actors portraying them. The more time they spend with each other, the more each character succeeds over their shortcomings. Diego starts to show more of his personality beyond his short temper, while Alex starts to unwind and talk with people in ways he wouldn't before. Combined with how they explore their family backgrounds, it's just great to see these two elevate the story together. Unfortunately, the same can't be said for the supporting characters of the story, who are easily the worst part about it. Diego's dad and Alex's brother, who coincidentally work together, try to control Diego's every move for the sake of making money off his athletic career, as opposed to supporting him in his endeavors, and the way it's done in this movie is just lazy. They generate so much artificial conflict in this movie. They act like pricks to both of the main characters and almost feel cartoonish in how much they want to exploit Diego. I had a hard time taking them seriously because they feel out of place compared to the natural ebb and flow that already exists between Diego and Alex. Even the characters who help Diego don't amount to much. Diego's girlfriend Ceci never does anything useful other than be an occasional cheerleader for his activities. She is more likable than the antagonists, but what it ultimately comes down to is that most of the characters in this movie are a huge letdown. The unfortunate thing about these characters is that they drag the story further into mediocrity than it already is. It's another average redemption story of an athlete finding his footing again while dealing with shark-like businessmen, and it all proceeds as predictably as one might expect. That being said, there are moments within the story that stand out. Like I said before, the individual character moments between Diego and Alex are great, but the set pieces involving soccer games and car chases are entertaining and fit perfectly into the contrast between the two characters that ends up binding them together. Everything is filmed competently at a technical level too. The music fits well into scenes, shots are tightly paced, and the cinematography is way better than I thought it'd be. The filmmakers did a great job emphasizing the tone of certain scenes just through careful use of lighting and framing, and I really wish that same amount of effort was put into the script. The only nitpick I have on the technical front is how certain scenes end with a fade to black just when things feel like they're about to get interesting. It doesn't happen often, but when it does, it drives me crazy because it abruptly ends a good moment, and this movie needs more of them to offset the blandness of the story and characters. There are some good messages to be found in this movie, albeit ones you've likely already seen before. The way it explores the consequences of fame for both Diego and Alex is interesting because of how their fates are tied together. It's a bit over the top in Alex's case because he's scrutinized at the same level as Diego despite not being a celebrity, but it's still intriguing to see how they're both affected in different ways. It also acknowledges that everyone has their own individual strengths and weaknesses, and that hard work will pay off. It's really nothing that hasn't been seen before, and it can be kind of tacky in its approach with these themes, but the movie has a lot of heart, and I enjoyed seeing how everything built to the finale. Overall, The Champion is a decent but derivative sports drama that does get better over time, but doesn't do much to stand out from the crowd. If you like sports dramas with a redemption story behind them and want to see two characters build each other up, you might enjoy checking this out. The hokey writing and characters almost derail this movie from the outset, but the relationship of the lead characters and the little moments between them give it just enough personality to make it moderately enjoyable. I wouldn't say it's a champion of a movie, but it's definitely not a loser either. What did you think about this movie? Were you also underwhelmed by its mediocre story and characters, or did you find something to appreciate about it? Let me know in the comments below. Anyways guys, that's going to wrap up my review of The Champion. Thanks for watching this video, I hope you enjoyed it, and as always stay tuned for the next part, where next time I review the American romantic comedy, Find Me Falling. Bye bye!